This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, you should expect to see quarterback Jordan Love on the field on Thursday, where the Packers open the preseason in Pittsburgh. That was the word from Coach Matt LaFleur this morning before practice. How much he plays remains to be seen. When he does exit, it's going to be veteran Tyrod Taylor in his place. He's the new backup in place of Malik Willis, and LaFleur likes when he walks to the room.
Yeah, it's been great. I mean, you can't help but not like Tyrod Taylor. I mean, he's a G. He's a great dude, really good football player. He's awesome to have in that room.
And he has to play at some point this season. LaFleur thinks he's capable.
Oh, absolutely. I think and it's been fun to go through this process. Not holding anything back and throwing everything at him, and just to see how he's handled it. And I think he's done a heck of a job.
Again, the Packers will head to Pittsburgh tomorrow. It's where they'll face the Steelers on Thursday night. The Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers not expected to play. Turning to the Badgers, they were into the second week of fall camp. Injuries along the offensive line, a little concerning with two starters missing. But new line coach Eric Mateo said this morning that it's better to get those backup reps now so they are ready if injuries hit mid-season.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed, and managed for more people around the world. They continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Occutype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
The Brewers and Padres going to continue their series tonight out west. San Diego took the opener 3-2 last night. Tonight it'll be Kyle Harrison on the mound for the Crew. Padres sent Walker Buehler. First pitch is at 8:40. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil.
Logan pitched well enough to win. He's been tremendous for us, and he pitched well enough to win, and he just keeps piling that up and learning from it, making pitches one by one. He was tremendous. Tremendous. Just disappointing because, you had some opportunities there and we didn't come through. But credit to Padres. They played good defense and they pitched really well. Lara had good swings all night. Bowers had a good swing. Churio was great. Charlie put one good swing on it, but you can't strike out that many times. And the starter was good. You got to score more than 2 runs on the road to win.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
That's Pat Murphy after the game last night. Just a couple comments, one on the offense, one on Logan Henderson, about what I'd expect him to say. There's nothing earth-shattering there. Just gets us into the show. Logan Henderson was good. He was not good enough. He basically needed to pitch a career best outing, and he was not that. And the offense needed to be a little bit better. Although I think Pat Murphy in his postgame comments last night did say something that is true. They did hit a good amount of balls hard. It's not like they were, crushing balls at 105 to the warning track, but they did have some line drives, especially early against Mize, that did go right at some guys. So they did have some good batted ball events. I struggle to give a team too much credit for that because when I was younger, and I know in previous eras of baseball, and I know a lot of you can speak to this, it was considered a skill to hit the ball where the defender wasn't. Hit it where they ain't. Find a piece of grass, drop the ball in. And now I feel like a lot of hitting analysis in Major League Baseball these days is, well, you hit it hard. It just went to a guy. What are you going to do? It's like, well, I still believe that there's a little bit more to the art of hitting than that. It just seems like a lot of games we just look at the exit velos. Well, they hit a bunch of balls hard and they got unlucky. Oh, okay. I still think high-level hitters should be able to make their own luck. But to the Brewers' credit, and Pat Murphy mentioned it, they did seem to have a bunch of well-struck balls that just didn't find spaces against Mize. So I will give the Brewers credit, a little bit of credit, not much, but a little bit of credit for that. They lost to the Padres last night. For those of you that stayed up, a frustrating game. They lose 3-2 in the opener of the series. That's where I want to start. And we might circle back to the Brewers. And if you want to talk Brewers, I'll make sure there's plenty of time for your phone calls. But we're going to talk Badgers tonight. Kate Fox is going to join us in segment number 2. She was at Badgers practice today. She'll share some of her observations. And the comments that jumped out, they got to talk with Eric Mateos, the new offensive line coach. New and offensive line coach, that's kind of synonymous. They have a new offensive line coach just about every year. But he was made available to the media earlier and kind of talked about his philosophy, and there's some interesting things in there. So we'll get Kate's observations from practice down at that indoor facility as it was stormy and rainy in Madison today. couple comments from Eric Mateos. And then I have some Packers items that we'll start to get to in hour number 2 as well. But if you want to talk baseball, we'll have time. We can circle back. This is the Wisco Sports Show. My name is Grant Bills. Appreciate you being here. Thank you. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to be in for Bill. So 10 to 2 each of the next 3 days. So if you like this show and you're like, I wish it was longer, okay, careful what you wish for, because if you would like the next 3 days, you're going to get a bonus for 4 hours. I will do my best to not replay interviews. By 5 o'clock, my brain starts to get a little mushy, but we should have some great guests. I know Bukowski, Mike Renner are going to be on tomorrow, Andy Herman a little bit later in the week, Zach Heilprin. I might hit up Colton on top of Jesse just because there's so much Badgers content to cover right now with practices going on. So that's the shape of tonight and through the rest of the week. And like this show, you can watch Bill's show on that Wisco Sports Zone app. It's super slick. Go watch the live stream there and listen to the show even if you're away from your radio or your computer. The show streams for your convenience on YouTube, on Facebook, and on my Twitter as well, at Wisco Grant. Something we talked about on last night's show regarding the win over the Twins on Sunday was something Pat Murphy had to say. And we picked this apart a little bit. Pat Murphy talked about that Sunday win over the Twins as one of the best team wins of the season. Remember this? We played this yesterday.
I mean, this was, in my mind, the best team win in a long, long time. It wasn't the best played. It wasn't perfect. The Twins are really, really good ball club. They have great pitching. Their offense is very aggressive, very capable, and that's why they're in position they're in.
So I agree on that. I agree that was one of the best team wins in a while. Not that it was well played, to Murph's point, but Sunday's game, as we discussed yesterday, was just not a game they could lose. Sometimes a win is big because a loss just isn't acceptable, right? And on Sunday, with Mizorowski on the mound, it's the rubber game of the series. You're about to depart on a West Coast trip. The Twins are a more beatable opponent than some of the National League heavyweights that are coming up over the next 2 weeks. Got to have Sunday's win. Got to find a way to win it. And they did. Any way possible. So that was a big team win on Sunday. Last night also kind of felt like one of those games, or it developed into one of those games. It wasn't necessarily one of those games when it started. But as you got into the sixth inning, last night started to feel like one of those games. You just got to find a way to win, right? 2-0 lead on Yelich's home run. When was the last time Yelich had a home run, right? Logan Henderson gave you everything you could have asked for, at least through those first 6 innings, 1 earned run through 6. At one point, he retired 12 straight Padres, and he went deeper into a game than he ever had before because he needed to, because the bullpen was porked. And as I talked about with a couple of you guys when you called in last night, like, what happens if Logan Henderson goes 4 innings tonight? They're porked. You know, what if Logan Henderson goes even just 5 innings? Like, you needed 6+ from Henderson last night. The Brewers got that, and a dominant 6 innings, pitched into the 7th. That felt like a game you really, really needed to have, similar to Sunday's game against the Twins. 2-0 lead on a Christian Yelich home run, of all things, starting a long West Coast road trip on a night where your starter gives you everything you needed and then some. You kind of got to find a way to win that game. And I understand I'm not an idiot on this, at least. It's a 162-game season, and you're going to lose plenty of games. Even if you win 100 games, which would be a historical season, you're still going to lose 62. I got it. But there are some games you really don't want to let get away, and I think last night was one of them, and it hurts. It's one of those games, by hook or by crook, you just have to win that game. And I think the Brewers this season, especially recently, have lost a little bit of their hook and their crook, right? Hey, by hook or by crook, you got to win the game. Well, I think in the past, the Brewers have had a pretty good hook and crook, meaning when they're not playing their best, they still have instruments at their disposal to win a baseball game. And I know that they're 29 games over 500, so they've won a lot of games this year too, but stick with me. I think in the past, their hook and their crook, to continue that analogy, is that they've won some ugly games with speed, with defense, contact, putting the ball in play, stealing bases. And especially last year, there's so many great examples of a day where the offense didn't really have it. Maybe your starter didn't go deep into a game, or maybe your 2 best relievers were down as they were last night for the Brewers. But by hook or crook, you know, the Brewers have these tools at their disposal: speed, defense, contact, stealing bases, all these things where we can win a game last night, even ugly, if we need to. And I think the Brewers have lost a little bit of their hook and a little bit of their crook this year, and especially recently. Do you know the Brewers are 18th in fielding run value in 2026? So just a number that, StatCast or Baseball Savant uses. So fielding run value, how many runs has your defense saved you? Loosely is what that means. They're 18th. They're worse than average. They're an average or less than average defensive team this year by lots of metrics. They're 14th in strikeouts, 14th fewest. So they're top half, but they're not an elite team when it comes to putting the ball in play. They're average. They strike out the average amount for a Major League Baseball team, which isn't horrible, but when you consider they don't hit a lot of home runs, that number kind of needs to be better than average. So their contact skills have slipped. Their defensive skills have slipped. They're 5th in stolen bases, but just look over the last 2 games, how many times they've been caught stealing. Or last night, Jackson Chourio slides over the bag. It's just a very Jackson Chourio thing. Like, great batted ball, gets on to first, all the speed and ability to steal the base, and then just technically he flubs it, which is, the thing that makes you want to pull your hair out with Jackson Chourio, although he's only 22, and I think he'll continue to get better and more polished as a baseball player, but still lacking a little bit of that polish. He wasn't to blame for last night. It's just an example I'm pointing out. In the past, the Brewers hook and crook, if you got to win a game by hook or by crook, where your offense maybe isn't cooking or your relievers are down or you're on the West Coast and you're in a tough spot. Well, we got speed, we got defense, we put the ball in play, we steal bases. They're not actually as good at some of those things as they've been in the past, and I think it's harmed their ability to win games like last night. Now, they've won lots of those games too, don't get me wrong, but those numbers are still those numbers. They've really slipped it as a defensive team. They strike out more than they should, considering their lack of power and their lack of pop. And I worry, as I said last night, about the next week or 2-week stretch against some really tough opponents with some injuries. Last night, it was so messed up. I was laying in bed. I was watching. It was the 7th or 8th inning. And I go, this team really misses Cooper Pratt. And I thought, oh, my God. What does that say about this offense? What does that say about this team? That they're missing Cooper Pratt. And I don't know what Cooper Pratt's statistics were before he got hurt. But it really felt like, if you watch every night, I'm sure you'll concur, Cooper Pratt was coming through with some timely hits. Now, he'd have a bad strikeout here or there too, but he had started to kind of become a guy that I don't know if I was, waiting for him to come up the plate. I don't know if I was like, oh, God, got to get Cooper Pratt to the plate, but a guy who was a neutral at worst or a plus guy at best with runners in scoring position or with 2 outs when you need a guy to take the ball the other way. Like, Cooper Pratt was giving them a little bit of that. This offense misses Cooper Pratt right now. That's how sluggish, that's how stuck this offense is felt. And Murph made a little bit of a lineup adjustment last night to try to fix some things. To his credit, early on, it worked. They put Christian Yelich and William Contreras into the 6th and the 7th spot. I flipped those. So Contreras was in the 6th hole, and Yelich was in the 7th. This is Pat Murphy. This is from Kurt Hoag's story after the game, the Journal Sentinel. Murphy's quote is, we are where we are with them performing the way they've performed. It would make a huge difference if they start to perform and get the results they've gotten in the past. I firmly believe that will happen. But if it doesn't, we're going to get other people ready to produce. I trust them. I just do. And Kurt writes, it took just 1 plate appearance each for that trust to be paid off. Yelich followed a Contreras 1-out walk with an opposite field homer off Mize in the 2nd. The Brewers' designated hitter batted below 6th in the starting lineup for the first time as a Brewer since 2015. Contreras was batting 6th for the first time as a Brewer, which would be, he started here in 2023, I think, correct? Was that I believe that was Craig Counsell's last year in town. Starts to get a little fuzzy. It was a couple years ago. Adam McCalvey writing on the 2 slumping kind of meat of the order guys. Contreras isn't alone. Yelich fighting a slump that dates all the way back to April, fell down in the lineup last week. When he hit 7th for Saturday's win over the Twins, it was the lowest spot in a starting lineup since 2015 with the Marlins. Now he's joined by Contreras, who hadn't batted lower than 5th in parts of 4 seasons with the Brewers before hitting 6th Monday night. Contreras made the National League All-Star team for the 3rd time in his career and was hitting north of 300 as late as June 28th, but over a 32-game span from June 29th to Sunday, he slashed 177, 243, 282. I was looking at his splits, and you need like a certain level of subscription to get a specific. I'm not gonna subscribe to baseballreference.com. Not in 2026. I'm not going to do that. But his monthly splits, he slashed 186, 245, 291 in July. And so far in August, albeit in only 9 games, but slashing 152, 263, 273. That is not going to do it. Brewers hitting coach Guillermo Martinez says, yeah, I'm sure you'd have to ask him where his mindset is there, but he knows he's a good hitter. He knows he belongs in the top of the order 100%. I know he does. And I really, truly believe he's going to get there. At the end of the day, we need him. This is Contreras. As for Yelich, he went 4 for 19 in his first 6 games after sliding several spots down the order before coming through in his first at-bat on Monday with his first home run since a leadoff shot on July 24th and his first multi-home run game since July 4th at Arizona. Quote, where we are with them performing how they performed, it certainly would make a huge difference if they start to perform and get the results that they got. I gave you that quote already. Asked what fuels that trust, Murphy said the history, who they are, and how they work. I know that motivates them. Adam McKelvey asks, is the move down the lineup meant to be a motivation tactic? Quote, it's not meant to be motivating. It's meant to be what's best for our team right now. And I saw that statement, Adam posting the story before the game started last night. And I saw that. It's like, ooh, that's not Murphy saying, hey, we're just trying to, we're doing something to try to get Contreras moving. We're trying, we're mixing it up. He basically said, no, we're batting him 6th because right now he's producing like a guy who should be batting 6th. And hitting him any higher would be hurting our team. So Yelich and Contreras continue to be part of the issue. I put more onus on Contreras, and it's not because I treat Yelich as some sacred cow. Yelich is 34, and he had a back injury earlier this year. So I look at Yelich and look at his struggles. I say, yeah, it sucks, but at least that makes a little sense. I don't know what Contreras' deal is. Dude's 28. He's in the prime of his career. And he hasn't been catching. It's not like he's catching every day. They've worked in Gary Sanchez a little bit more often, I feel like, than they did a year ago or the year before, which is insane because Contreras is finally healthy. Like last year, he had a broken hand. He was still catching mostly every day. They've backed off his workload defensively over the last week or two, and it hasn't helped, hasn't made a difference. It's not like his catching duties should be overworking him, at least not to the point where he's hitting 152 in the month of August. So I know a lot of people are picking on Yelich and Contreras. I'm not trying to be, I'm not trying to tell you who to be angriest at, but I just look at Contreras more because I expect more because he's better and he's younger. The Brewers need to get those two guys going. God bless Jake Bauers, still hitting, man. Like he's still doing things. They're lucky that Jake Bauers didn't completely drop off the face of the earth. Like maybe, I wouldn't have been surprised if he turns into Jesus Aguilar 2.0, reminiscent of his season in 2018. And he hasn't. He's still given really good at bats and giving you extra base hits and hit home runs and produced. So it's really right now it's Yelich, but it's Contreras, man, because Churio's starting to do some really good things, and Contreras is just nowhere to be found. We're going to talk with Kate Fox coming up next. She was at Badger practice today. She'll join us in studio for some observations and some comments delivered by the Badgers' new offensive line coach, which again is repetitive. They have a new offensive line coach every year, so I should just say their O-line coach, Eric Mateos, who spoke earlier today. So we'll discuss that and get Kate's observations from Badgers practice coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
There's some asked you in the meetings, but more so we want guys to like enjoy the process of learning the game and being students of the game. And then the way we want to be is when we cross the white lines, we got to be the most ruthless, hardest working people on the planet. So there has to be a switch that goes off. I think I've mentioned this before. We got to be the same guys that'll help an old lady across the street and then beat the hell out of the guy that tries to take her purse. So that's who we got to be.
Eric Mateos, that's the Badgers O-line coach, spoke earlier today. We're going to get some observations here from Kate Fox. Hold on, I should turn your mic on. Hi, Kate.
Hey, Grant.
Kate, first of all, now the in-stadium host for a Badger volleyball. I saw some pictures last night. That was very nice. How did that go?
Thank you. It went incredible.
Good. And Badgers practice with Zach today. Your thoughts of Eric Mateos, who I have listened to him speak a little bit, never met him, never seen him in person, but at least the videos I've seen, he looks like an O-line coach. He has that going for him.
Well, I think it's hilarious that all of the coaches kind of look like the position that they coach, and Eric Mateos is 100% that guy. Also,
You're from Edgerton. He looks like he could be a barfly at a place in Edgerton.
I mean, 100%. He also looks like he probably coaches at Edgerton too.
he looks like he could be the head coach at Edgerton.
100%.
Yes.
He would people would adore him there. No, I had never listened to him talk either. And so this is my first time. And he walks in after a practice in which he just completely reamed the guys, which we can talk about later. And then walks over and goes, all right, so in a really nice tone, I just want to say happy birthday to my mom, my grandma, something like that. 3 of his family members. And okay, I'll take some questions. So the media members are confused because why did this guy who just absolutely reamed, swore, screamed, we can hear all of it at practice, and then walk over to this place and be just nice guy, misses his family. And I think that talks a lot about that first clip that you just played. He said, we want to be someone who cares for the lady crossing her street or whatever the hell he said. Heck, sorry.
Whatever. No, you're good. That made me think of Dave from Monona, whose number one focus on Badger student athletes and, Edgewood athletes like yourself. Like you want to be outstanding members of the community. Right? You want to represent yourself well around town.
And then they want to beat the heck out of somebody who did that. So I thought that was a really good, intro into who Coach Mateos is, but really in his presser, his tone was strict.
Okay.
It was a little bit mean, but it was also emotionally intelligent and understanding. So I think that's the guy that you want as your offensive line coach. I've said before, and people laugh when I say this, but I want my offensive linemen to go camping with their friends, have a long-term girlfriend of maybe 6 years who bakes him casseroles, and have under 2,000 Instagram followers.
I like that. I like all of that.
And so I just think that Mateos is breeding those kind of guys. And when we look at those transfers, those are the type of guys he brought in. I think he has a clip about him saying he wants to prune the O-line. I want you to play that because it talks a lot about how he's really going to beat him down, especially in these days 5 through 8, where it's going to get really tough. They have the pads on. So I kind of want to talk about that.
Okay, I'll play that clip.
Working on the install and all of that is really important, but practice 5, probably till we get through practice 8, we're trying to break them down and trying to prune them. You got to cut the flowers down a little bit if you want them to grow a little bit bigger and more beautiful, and that's what I'm trying to do right now.
So you were a 2-sport college athlete. That should be part of training camp, right?
Absolutely.
Like I want the coaches to, I don't know, not necessarily be jerks, but beat them down, kind of exhaust them to the point where they feel like they can't go any farther, and then we build it back up. Like pruning a flower.
100%, Grant.
Okay.
And I want to tell a little bit of a story, and I'm going to tell this in broader terms. But we're about an hour and a half into camp, and the positions have their meetings. And Coach Mateos is right underneath us as the media.
Okay.
And he is screaming and cussing like he's a 1970s football coach that your grandpa tells stories about, or your dad tells stories about. At least for me, I remember my dad saying, well, we were tough. We were hard-nosed. There was nothing. This soft stuff would never get around here. And if you are thinking of the what the Fs and the, mom comments and things like that, that's exactly what we're talking about from Coach Mateo. So when he's saying he's pruning them, I feel like he's more taking a shovel and grabbing them out from the bottom of the dirt and tossing them.
Pruning is like delicate. Pruning it sounds more like they're being smashed with a shovel here. That's more the vibe that you're getting.
100%.
Okay.
Do we have a clip talking about the guys being comfortable with being hated?
Yes.
Okay, this was one of my favorites. I posted this one on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it.
Nice.
I like to call it Twitter. Anyways.
I do as well.
I posted this one, and I think that it's interesting because it's really what he's trying to instill in the players and what I heard him say lots of times today.
Here's the deal. On September 6th, I'm not going to be out there. It's going to be 5 guys versus the world. When you're in O-line, that's how it is every time you're on the field, home or away. Because if you don't perform well, the home fans hate you too. So when you're out there and your coach ain't out there, it's 5 guys versus the world. So we're trying to get them comfortable with that mentality.
And you were telling me earlier about practice, and this has been the thing since the first practice, Kate. Like offense, defense, and different position groups have been going at it, including actual fights. There was a fight day 1 of practice. There's been a lot of jawing back and forth. I feel like, tearing guys down brings them together. And then maybe like, who do we have as O-lineman, Kate, but ourselves? We're a unit. It's us against, literally the world. That's kind of what Mateos was saying.
100%. And even today, there's a linebacker that runs by, and it might have been good-natured. I don't really want to put a label on it, but all that I know is that there's definitely some, it's us own linemen, and we're going to get nasty. That's a word that they've used so many different times. They use it in their pressers later. After practice, they're so nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And they want to make sure that the other position groups know that. Today, I don't think they did a really good job of that. But, since the O-lineman, since Mateos was the guy who was available for media today, I think we're getting a highlight on that. But honestly, Grant, I don't think they even performed very well today. So that teamwork and that camaraderie is going to have to get a heck of a lot stronger, especially if we want to protect Colton Joseph.
Well, I think this team is a little dead on arrival if their O-line looks the way that it has the last couple of years. Like we talk about Jeff Grimes' offense or Abu Sama or Colton Joseph. Colton Joseph, big skill set, big part of his game is running. I just don't know if any of this works if the O-line sucks as it has the last couple of years.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if the O-line's dead, I think the team's dead on arrival. So you're right. I think they do need to play like a Wisconsin O-line. They keep using the N-word. Nasty.
That N-word. Thank you for clarifying.
Correct. Kate Fox is here. She was at Badger practice today. Kevin Haywood got moved. He was a guy, for those who don't remember, he was supposed to be their left tackle last year, blows out his knee. He's back. He has been slid to a different spot. He's moved around?
He has not been moved around.
Okay.
He is...
Oh, the other guy's moved around. Hayward's...
Yes.
Why am I doing this? You go on, please.
Yeah, Kevin Haywood is the guy that they brought from the O-line to go talk to the media last week during local media days.
Mm-hmm.
So think the 30 reporters, beat reporters, and news guys, and everyone that you're going to have on your screens. And they said, Kevin Haywood's who we're going to send, which obviously means that they think he is one of those top guys, one of the leaders in the group. And there's been so much talk about how he's someone who's going to be a game changer and going to really protect the quarterback and blah, 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 blah. He hasn't stayed healthy.
Correct.
And right now, he hasn't been playing his day-to-day, so I don't know that it's anything serious. But if he's supposed to be the big leader of this group, he's not out there. They have so many transfers coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that leader? Like, is there anyone that we can look towards? And nobody really gave me a clear answer on that.
Okay. There wasn't a consensus among you and your fellow Badger reporters of who the other big. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. You're talking with Zach. You're talking with the reporters. There wasn't a name that was being thrown around other than Haywood.
I don't know about in that natural leadership position. No.
Okay.
And you can even tell, even though he's sitting out just day to day, he is still leading that group really intensely. So I think it's going to be a big key for him to get back onto the field, especially for Notre Dame. I mean, imagine you're going against those edges, those pass rushers, and you can't protect anyone. You can't even give Kojo a second to think. I can't even imagine what that's going to look like at Lambeau Field.
Kojo.
You don't like that?
Well, nah, it's
No,
fine.
I
It's
mean-
fine. It's fine. It's fine. You were a college athlete. You can live in the. I can't do it.
I
You
was
please.
talking to Evan Flood, actually, another a beat reporter for the
Mhm.
Badgers, and I said, "Yeah, I'm going to call him Kojo."
Mhm.
And he asked me, Evan Flood, and he's got some followers.
Oh, yeah.
He said, "If I steal it from you, do I have to give you credit?" I said, "No." So if you see Kojo on Evan's post, just know deep down in your heart, it was me. That's not important, though.
You're making all the beat reporters a little bit cooler. I like that you're raising the floor of that room. I like that. Evan Flood's pretty cool. I like Evan Flood.
As we were talking about injuries in the offensive line, especially for the Badgers, that's the first question that we asked Mateos in the press conference, and he had an interesting answer. He said he's going to try to make a positive out of it, and he talked about how he was already considering going 6 or 7 guys. 6 or 7. Yeah, I'm still a young kid at heart.
I
Anyways,
think it's funny.
yeah, it is. If you don't like 6, 7, you're no fun. Okay, I'm
I
getting
agree.
off track. If they were already going to go 6 or 7 deep, and now it's just going to give some of the young guys an opportunity to step up who might have been that 6 guy, maybe now is going to be the 4, or 7 might be the 5. So I think it's interesting to hear him talk about this.
We were going to rotate guys anyways, but it forces some guys who were maybe number 6, 7, or 8 to, hey, now you're number 5. And I look at it as an opportunity for us to develop the depth now. And so when we are halfway through the season and we're in the middle of Big Ten play, we don't just have, only 5 guys that have done reps with the 1. So I look at it as a positive, and I think you just keep on rolling.
I think that's a very good mindset and a good way of looking at it. Plus, you never know. You might find a guy who's, you might find a guy who nobody thought very much of, and all of a sudden he's balling out. Or you have a guy who was at tackle, you put him at guard, and all of a sudden he's lighting it up at guard, and you never would have known. So that makes sense to me. You're a college athlete. You get that. You want to find these things out in training camp or in the fall, not in the middle of conference play.
I mean, I guess, but I really think for this team right now, the first 3 games are going to set the tone for what this season looks like. And if they're still trying to figure it out at an offensive line perspective, and he said, well, in the middle of Big Ten play, maybe we'll be healthy and ready to go. Well, what about the first 3 games of the season where entire state of Wisconsin is watching to see if you can put something together?
We're all looking. Well, it sucks that it sucks. I wish the Notre Dame game was like the 3rd or 4th game.
Mm-hmm.
I wish it wasn't the 1st. Because if you built a couple of really nice performances against non-conference teams, which they haven't exactly been doing the last few years, like it's not like they blew the doors off Western Michigan or South Dakota, but we think this year's gonna be a little better. So if it was, I wish Notre Dame wasn't the first game. But you're right; it's not like the first few games are just that they're foregone conclusions, and you don't need your best 5, and you don't need that continuity until Big Ten play.
Yeah. He did say one other thing about injuries and an offensive line shortage that I thought was interesting, not necessarily just to the Badgers, but in general.
Mm-hmm.
He talked about how coaches all over this country are looking for offensive linemen. And when he said that, I kind of stopped listening to him for a second and started thinking about why that might be the case. Well, when you start thinking about it, it's pretty obvious, Grant. I mean, what 360-pound, 6'5" guy wants to go play football and get no glory for it?
That's
and
true.
with all of their bumps and the bruises and their injuries. But yeah, I think it's cool to hear him talk about that, and a little bit interesting to think about, especially if you have a high schooler who might be a big guy. Hey, they might be looking.
I suppose, well, especially in the state of Wisconsin as well. Anything else you want to hit? I have one question for you, but anything else you want to hit before I hit you with a doorknob question on your way out?
No, I think ask away.
Does this team pass the sniff test? Are you've been around winning college teams? You've played on winning college teams.
You love bringing that up.
Well, it's
D3.
your experience. That's good experience that you have. Do you buying what's going on, or do you think I still don't know?
So let's talk about, like, if a sales guy was selling me this used car.
Sure.
And the Badgers this year are the used car.
Okay.
Because Luke Fickell's year one, let's say they were a new car. We didn't really know what's wrong. We didn't have a lot of safety tests done on it. It was just brand new, blind. Now we're in year 5 of this used car that's been in some accidents that it is salvage.
Carfax isn't great, maybe.
I mean, the Carfax sucks.
Yeah, let's be real, the Carfax
the
sucks.
Carfax on this thing sucks so bad.
It blows.
But we had a complete transformation of the car. We get, new motor. I'm not really good at car things, so I don't know why I use this analogy, but like new tires, new engine, new transmission. And it's going to be super exciting because we put all of this money into the car. For me, and I hate to be negative, the car is still what it was. It's not brand new. It's been ran through. So I cannot give you a yes, 100% it passes the sniff test. It's exciting. Can't wait for day one. I can't wait for game one. Big Ten season's going to be great. We're going to win 8 games. I just can't give you that.
Good.
And I wish I could. But I do think that the car is going to run better with all of these new pieces, with the new coaches and with the new players than it did before, and that people are putting effort into making it a better product.
So I would agree on that second part. Good. Don't just blindly buy in. I think too many people are doing that, and I think they're on some level going to be disappointed. I don't know, but I'm interested, just the sniff test always of the athlete, the people who've been around programs and successful teams. I still don't know. Kate, appreciate your time. You going back up there with Zach? Is there
tomorrow? I'll be there tomorrow. Yeah.
We will follow you on Twitter and look forward to you reporting, Kate. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
We will be back. If you want to talk Badgers, we can go back to the Brewers as well. More of the show coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin doesn't believe in games. They never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Just premium windows and doors built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella-certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Wisco Sports Show presented tonight by Inn on the River. Mike Clemens at 5:30. Give us a little bit of a Packers recap. He's been keeping his eye on the Brewers as well. We'll get to him at 5:30 in hour number 2. Appreciate Kate Fox, Badger update. She was at practice earlier today. They spoke with Eric Mateos, the new O-line coach. Some good things there. To your phone calls on Brewers, which is where we started the show. Badgers, whatever you want. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's that?
Hey, Grant. Happy Tuesday. Always love hearing what the Fox says. I think that's a good little touch to the show.
I like it. Yeah, I like Kate coming in every once in a while. And I asked her if she could come in and talk Badgers practice. She's like, sure. And she put together a list of, I always like, she basically Mike Clemens did. Gave me a list of cuts she wanted and a couple things to talk about. Appreciate Kate a lot.
Yeah, learns from the best. And love the nickname for Colton Joseph, Kojo. I think that's got some staying power.
It does. I don't know if I can be a nickname guy, but that's a me problem. That's not anyone else problem. It's not a Kojo, a Colton Joseph problem.
Is it better or worse than Jack Jack? Because I think that's like one of the worst nicknames going around.
I don't like Jack Jack at all. I think that's so forced. I don't like that, but I don't like most nicknames. I like nicknames as a matter of convenience. Miz. It's just easier than saying Mizorowski. So that, sure, there's that one, but I don't know. I don't need to use Murph's nicknames. That's fine. Especially Jack Jack. I'm with you on that. I really don't like that one.
Yeah. And to get on Contreras, do you think maybe his thumb being injured was was good for him? Because he hasn't been any better and probably worse with a healed hand.
He's been worse. I saw some people last night complaining about how he tries to pull everything. Maybe we'll talk with a Brewers guest before the end of the week. I necessarily have been paying attention to his swings. I think maybe he's hunting power. Maybe that could be a problem. And maybe last year with his injured finger, he was more focused on contact, maybe more willing to take the ball the other way. I don't know, but I expected a much better season from him considering he's healthy for the first time in a while. And maybe he has a bitchin' month and a half to end the year. It could totally happen. It's just not good right now.
Yeah, we need him to step it up.
Yeah,
figure it out.
Either that or Yelich needs to, become MVP. Somebody, one of those middle of the order guys has got to pop. Otherwise, this is going to be a slog to the end of the season like this.
Yeah, my prediction is Andrew Vaughn, King Vaughn comes alive this last month and a half.
I like that. I like that. I just think even if Vaughn has a great month, or your ceiling is so much lower if specifically Yelich and Contreras aren't playing well, because those are the guys you're counting on. And then Vaughn is the bonus, right? That's how you win 97 games, is having the bonus of Andrew Vaughn or the bonus of Jake Bauers. They don't have the things they should be counting on right now. I like the Vaughn angle.
Yeah, I think it's almost the other way around, though. And I think the recent lineup structure kind of reflects that Yelich and Contreras are now flipped to be the cherry on top, and
I
that you
suppose.
can't expect consistent production from them. So I think this lineup change that Murph's implemented, it really speaks volumes.
I suppose maybe that's the way we should look at it. Appreciate it, Cone.
Yeah, last thing, former guest Brian Butch had Joel Stave, all-time winning quarterback of the Wisconsin Badgers, on his podcast today. 10 out of 10 would recommend. Thanks, Grant.
Appreciate it, Cone. Butch is so good. A great Wisconsinite, a patriot through and through, and doing some great work up in Appleton and in the Fox Valley with tornado relief efforts and fundraising. He's cranking out good content on Butchie's Den. If you're a Badger hardo, lots of great alumni, former player. He does a really good job. I agree. 608-321-1670. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
So far, the reviews are something vocal fry and something 100% on the what does the fox say segment. So analyzing the meat from the beat, Kate Fox edition. Is she trying to be the RFK Jr. of sports talk radio? That is what many are asking.
She does have a gravelly voice. Well, she was hosting volleyball last night. She was in on Ebo's show this morning. It's a lot of talking.
Yeah, but like you host Bill after helping Ebo and come on here every single day. So maybe the endurance just isn't there. I hear she's full time now, so maybe she'll get there. But she doesn't talk like that outside of work, and don't change your voice for radio. Not to go old Dave from Monona and give unsolicited advice, but that's my thoughts. Hey, real quick on the offensive line coach, love the discussion around Mateos, where he's at. You know, he's been very vocal all year long, like since the day he was hired on social media, and he's put out all these big claims. And Grant, can you name any like impressive or notable productive pass rushers that they brought from the portal? Like any big time names from specifically the edge position on this defense?
I cannot, but I'm probably the wrong guy to ask.
Yeah, they don't really exist. You have Nick Clayton, who certainly could break out. You have a couple of guys. I like Thomas Heiberger. It seems like he's going to play a lot of different. He's moving around a bunch.
I know that.
You know, obviously the inside linebackers are where the money's being made right now.
Yes.
And my concern, right, is that we are going against Maryland, who have like crazy amount of just random 5-star dudes at edge. Obviously Notre Dame's got dudes all over the place. The schedule is easy, but this offensive line, the tackle position specifically, is getting undressed and dog walked every single moment of camp so far. And so for Mateo to be out there all summer long, right, on social media, getting into it, tussling with Gopher fans, and for his team to sit there and, you know, show up to camp and just be totally unprepared to play their positions, right? And they're getting beat in team drills. They're getting beat in one-on-ones. And again, Wisconsin doesn't have that like big-time premier pass rusher. They certainly have a couple of dudes with potential.
Yeah.
But for his guys to go out there and look like they've never played football before, and for everybody from the beat, even our optimistic friends that we've criticized in the past, to be like, holy smokes, guys, this is a potential problem. And Wisconsin doesn't have the premier talent out there. That's a major red flag. And so for Kate, you know, think about his tone and how he's cussing. He's bringing out, he's throwing chairs across the basketball court, right? He's really getting into it with his players. I would be nervous as hell if I'm Eric Mateos, because if this thing flops in year one, we made fun of him for the construction picture a couple weeks back when we were like, hey, buddy, it's not time to build and be under construction. This is year 4. You're stepping into a year 2 of an OC. You got to come in and perform right away. No excuses. Next man up. And from all accounts so far, it looks like this offensive line's never played football a day in their life. So I think that dude's got a lot of pressure on him. I understand his tone in these interviews a little bit more. That's all I got.
I love the angle, Vagabond. I appreciate the call. As I was saying with Kate, I just don't know if any of this works offensively if the O-line isn't strong. I just think it all hangs on that, because I don't know that they have dudes at wide receiver. You know, just listening to Zach and Jesse and reading practice reports, I think Jalen Domingo has really been impressed. They have guys who will flash here and there. T.Y. Hilton's kid, Eugene Hilton, has been catching big-time passes pretty consistently. So they have nice players at wide receiver, but I don't know if they have, you know, otherworldly college football talents at wideout. And I like Abu Salman. I like Colton Joseph. Those are nice players. But the way that it all works together, and especially the way that Jeff Grimes likes to dial it up, the offensive line kind of has to be a strength, or might be your strength, the strength. And I don't know if it is yet. Getting Haywood back certainly helps. But they're shifting some guys around, and it wasn't Haywood. It was another player whose name I cannot remember. I'll pull that up while we take one more call here before our last break of the hour. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
Grant, Tony from Texas. Always good to hear from Kate Fox. Do we know if Kate Fox's mom is single, Grant?
I do not think so. I think they have a very nice nuclear family structure.
Oh, okay. I won't go there then. Hey, I want to know this. This is a real question. Who deserves more time on your show, Dave from Monona or the WNBA coverage?
I
mean, both are polarized. I mean, we got Enos Cantor trying out. I mean, Royce White. It's just what's going on at the WNBA. There's a fight every game. What's going on?
So you're right. And Tony, I got to run. I will better service the point that you just brought up by letting you go and giving you your answer off the air. By the way, the tackle moving from one side to the other is not Haywood. It's Lucas Simmons who's moving because Haywood is now healthy. On the WNBA, just 30 seconds. I'm not going to be disingenuous and tell them, well, if they fix these things, I'm going to watch, because I still probably wouldn't. So they're not failing to earn my viewership because I don't think they'd have it anyway. Maybe in the final, you know what I mean? Like I've watched WNBA finals before, and they can be very good games. You people, there's just a lot of people just peeing all over each other. It's my favorite analogy that I hear on sports talk radio. I've heard our friend Mike Felger say this. Anytime sports get political and sports are weaponized on political talk shows and with political pundits, it's just the two sides, everyone's just peeing on each other in the pool. You know, like the man is going to join the WNBA. And then the other half is like, but don't you want to protect women's sport? Oh, so you're for a man playing women's sport? No, I don't think I can get in this pool with all of you. You have your talking points. So good. Pee on each other. Just stay over there. Like, it's fine. And the WNBA is a mess because their leadership is weak, and, they let a lot of these things become the main thing. But I think there's a lot of other people, like a lot of political pundits who are like, political pundits who should just be very thankful the WNBA exists, because it's amazing fodder for them. Incredible. It's got gender, it's got race, it's got spy. I mean, it's the reddest of red meat for political pundits. And I don't know. It's not a world that interests me. Love sports talk, political talk, just not really my thing. So Tony, that's Kate Fox. We'll get more time on the show than the WNBA to answer your question. Final segment of the first hour coming up next.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Final segment, hour number 1. What a banger of an hour. Little Brewers talks, good calls. Kate Fox, always nice to hear what the Fox says. She popped back in here, and I said, Kate, do you, because I think she's graduated college, so 5 years younger than me? Something like that? I said, Kate, do you remember she's more than 5 years younger than me. She's 6 or 7 years younger than me. I said, do you remember what does the Fox say? Because I think I was in I was early in high school, I think, when that came out, when that was a thing. She's like, yeah, I was in 5th grade and I was bullied relentlessly over it. What does the Fox say? Oh, okay. I didn't. Sorry to bring up a rough spot. Cowdy Mike. Hey, Cowdy Mike. Thanks for chiming in. Texts in, and you can as well. 608-321-1670. Says, Grant, we were out in Deadwood, South Dakota, and stopped in for a beer. Tucker Craft's jersey is right above our table. Bikers all over the area. Yeah, Sturgis is going on. It's pretty big deal. Jim Paschke was on with Bill yesterday to eulogize Don Nelson and to talk a little bit about the Bucs while we had him. And he asked at the end of the interview, Bill, you out at Sturgis? And Bill said, yeah, we're having a good time out here. And Jim Paschke said, I accidentally ended up in Sturgis one summer in the midst of a family trip. There was nowhere to stay. Everything was booked up. So I ended up sleeping in my van. What? Because Paschke does not strike. I don't know Jim Paschke, but he does not strike me as a Sturgis type of fella. And yeah, I guess he was going on a family trip, somewhere South Dakota or Nebraska, a family trip, road trip. And they ended up in Sturgis, not knowing that, Sturgis was going on. And he ends up sleeping in his van. All the hotels are full. Bucks basketball. I can't do a good Jim Paschke. I have some Packers things that I would like to discuss to begin hour number 2. If you would like to discuss the Brewers, you will have that platform. I'll take more of your calls. 608-321-1670. Matt LaFleur made a pretty bold proclamation about Jordan Love. And I don't think he's as crazy as everyone is saying. I heard Ebo talking about this morning. Stacey Dales interviewing Matt LaFleur at Packers camp yesterday. And Matt LaFleur basically said, yeah, Jordan Love is the best I've ever been around at this one thing, even more so than Rodgers. And when I thought about it, he might be onto something. We'll talk about that next. Mike Clemens in a half hour. Hour number 2 coming up after Zach's update. Don't go anywhere.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Packers were on the practice field today for the final time before Thursday's preseason opener in Pittsburgh. That included wide receiver Jaden Reed, cornerback Carrington Valentine, and tight end Josh Wiley after missing time in recent days. Whether they'll play Thursday remains up in the air, but you should expect to see quarterback Jordan Love. How much he or other starters play isn't certain, but Coach Matt LaFleur finds value in however much they get out there.
I'd say it's pretty fluid in regards to the snaps, but I do think there's a lot of value for all our guys to just get mentally prepared to go play a game. Whether it's one play, whether it's 3 plays, 10 plays, the whole game, there's a ton of value in that. Getting your process down.
Going to be the Packers and Steelers on Thursday night. Former Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers not expected to play for Pittsburgh. Turning to the Badgers, after a day off, they were back on the field for practice this morning. The first time in camp, it was a strong day for the defense. Multiple big plays, including a pick six by linebacker Thomas Heiberger. They'll be back out there tomorrow as they continue to look towards the season opener against Notre Dame on September 6th at Lambeau Field.
Everyone should feel confident about their path forward. Exact Sciences is now Abbott, and together they will transform the way cancer is detected, diagnosed and managed for more people around the world. Continue to help patients and healthcare providers make timely, informed decisions before, during, and after a cancer diagnosis by partnering with the industry's best minds and top institutions to transform how to approach cancer. Known for the Cologuard and Oncotype DX tests, allow Abbott to help make a positive impact in your health path forward. Learn more at abbott.com.
Well, the Brewers will look to get back on track tonight out in San Diego, following a 3-2 loss last night to open their road trip. Hal Harrison gets the ball for the Crew, comes in 9-2 with a 2.84 ERA. The Padres counter with Walker Buehler. First pitch is set for 8:40. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heilprin.
Logan pitched well enough to win. He's been tremendous for us, and he pitched well enough to win, and he just keeps piling that up and learning from it, making pitches one by one. He was tremendous. Tremendous. Just disappointing because, you had some opportunities there and we didn't come through. But credit to Padres. They played good defense and they pitched really well. Lara had good swings all night. Bowers had a good swing. Churio was great. Charlie put one good swing on it, but you can't strike out that many times. And the starter was good. We got to score more than 2 runs on the road to win.
This is where Wisconsin gathers to talk sports. Packers, Brewers, Badgers, Bucks. The Wisco Sports Show is on the air. Now, here's your host, Grant Bills.
Hour number 2, the Wisco Sports Show presented tonight by Inn on the River in beautiful Trempealeau, Wisconsin. Lots of summer left, and even when summer starts to close down and we get into late August and into September, can you imagine the foliage? Beautiful time of year to be outside and spending time along the river on the beautiful western edge, the west coast of Wisconsin. So book your room, bring the boat. It's right there by the marina, super convenient. Right above the lock and dam, there's some great fishing. You can venture all over the river. The bluffs right across, you'll see them right outside the window of your room. Sullivan Supper Club right there. Trempealeau Hotel right across the way, so plenty of things to do. You're a stone's throw from La Crosse. You can go up to Alma. You can go up to Pepin. You can go over to Winona, kick around, enjoy all the great local eats and drinks. You do some hiking at Perot. It's a perfect Wisconsin weekend, and Inn on the River is the perfect place to stay. So you can go to innontheriverwi.com or give them a call, 608-534-7784, and like their Facebook page, Inn on the River Trempealeau. I forgot about this. I was gonna mention this, a public service announcement. It's election day. It's a primary day, so make sure you get out and vote today. Do your civic duty. I went and voted before Bill's show this morning. Didn't like any of the candidates, so I wrote in Tommy Thompson's name. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding. I don't vote. No, I'm kidding. I did vote. I did. You should vote as well. Go do your civic duty. That was the voice of Pat Murphy in the intro. And if you have Brewers thoughts, more than happy to take your call. But I do have a Packers thing I'd like to bring to the table. But first, there's one caller who sat through the update. So before we break the seal on a new topic here, let's get this caller in. Wisco Sports Show. Who's this?
It's Darnell the Chump.
Hey, Darnell, would you like to discuss the Brewers?
That's usually what I like to discuss.
That was my thought. So let's do that before I bring the Packers thing up.
Yeah, I fell asleep in the 5th inning and we still had a lead last night. So, imagine my surprise when I wake up and they had lost by 1 run.
Look at it this way, Darnell. I stayed up for the game. I woke up furious, but unlike you, I also went to sleep furious. So, yeah, you went to sleep just fine, but you were going to wake up angry either way, so at least you protected yourself on the front end. I think you did okay.
This is true, and I mean, to wake up and look at the last play that happened, and it was the last out of the game was on a failed stolen base. I was like, okay.
Yep.
And who was at the plate, Grant? It was Yelich. He was going to hit a 2-run shot to take the lead there. It was coming.
I bet. I bet. I would have bet my house on that, Darnell. Absolutely. Yeah.
Earlier in the show, you were talking about, oh man, I miss Cooper Pratt. I think you said once.
Yes.
Can you imagine just like putting ourselves back a couple months, back in April?
That's what I'm saying.
If you were like, okay, come July, August, we're really going to be missing Cooper Pratt, who was, I believe, at AAA at the time, and Joey Ortiz, right?
Yeah.
Like those 2 guys that really carried the Brewers offense in July, which sounds really weird to say, but it's true. They were, I think, 2 of our 3 most productive hitters in July, them and Bryce Terang. So to actually unironically be missing them in August is just kind of a weird thought.
Yep.
But I mean, we say that all the time in baseball discourse, but that is baseball, right? You're never going to quite understand it, and it's not always going to make sense, but that's just how it is, right? Sometimes you've got guys that don't look good for a long period of time, and then they snap out of it, and they look great for a couple months, and then they get injured, and it sucks, right? And you have some guys that look really great for a full year, and then are complete crap the next year. It's kind of a mixed bag, and it's kind of the hand you get dealt at the beginning of a year, and that's where the Brewers are at. It kind of feels everything kind of just feels slightly off, like not bad, right, but just slightly off.
Yeah, just a little off
where
kilter.
They can't quite figure it out. Like I think if they would have gotten a couple more sweeps over the past couple of weeks here, I think everybody would be feeling just fine, but they can't seem to find a way to win that third game in a row or that fourth game in a row.
Yeah, I like that.
And that's kind of, I feel like just not really jiving with what we saw last year, where they could figure out how to go on these 4 or 5, 6 game win streaks. And then sometimes, obviously, the 12 and the 14 game win streak was ridiculous and kind of unprecedented, right? But they could find ways to win 9 out of 10. Right.
Yep. And
this year it's like, all right, we're going to have to be happy with 6 out of 10, or we have to be like the odd 7 out of 10 too. Right. So, it sucks, but it's like, if that's what we're complaining about, then I'm fully on board for that. You know what I mean?
They're 29 games over 500, Darnell. I appreciate it. And I got to check myself too. Thanks for the phone call. They don't suck. It just feels like they're scuffling a little bit. And the Cubs are a really good team, and they're playing really well, and they have a lot of winnable games in front of them now. And the Brewers are banged up, and they're on a really tough West Coast swing. So I think all of those factors make us put the microscope on a game last night that in the grand scheme of things, is last night going to kill them? I don't know. Maybe not. They could win the next 4, sure. Just, man, on that night when you get that from Logan Henderson and you get a 2-run home run, an early lead because of Christian Yelich, and it's funny, if you would ask me in April, you're going to miss Cooper Pratt, I would think, is Cooper Pratt about to be an MVP candidate his rookie year? No, he's 260. It's just everyone else is going to go quiet in the month of July and into August. Contreras is going to go quiet. Yelich is going to be slumping big time. Oh, okay. So you're right. Pratt and Ortiz, 2 bats that really contributed in the month of July. So we'll put the pause on the Brewers discussion for a second. I have a Packers thing I want to talk about. Matt LaFleur sat down with Brian Baldinger and Stacey Dales of ESPN Network. Stacey's been on a bunch with Bill. Baldinger's been on with us at the Super Bowl. So these are voices you've seen on TV forever. And they go around to training camps, and they catch a coach, and they catch a player. And it's a nice season preview, kind of a low-stress environment. And Matt LaFleur was asked by Stacey Dales about Jordan Love. And the basis of the conversation was, hey, you're in year 4 now with Jordan Love as a starter. What's the relationship between you two like? What kind of good things can you tell us about Jordan Love? So that's how this ball gets rolling. And then you'll hear them specifying one particular part of his game and Matt LaFleur making a proclamation that caught lots of Packers fans' ears. So listen to this.
Matt, what are the tells that because you've spent so much time with Jordan, that you and Jordan speak the same language? Give us a feel for what that's like.
Oh, it's every day. Yeah. I mean, I'm in most of those quarterback meetings, and just the conversations, and to watch his growth has been really a fun process. He's a great guy to work with every day. He's so consistent, so even keeled. And I think that's why in those critical moments, he can go out there and perform at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he has the command that you need. I mean, it's everything, just the run game, the run pass game, the checks, all those kind of things at the line of scrimmage, where you have to be at your best, getting yourself into the right play.
He's got to be the best I've been around in terms of protections and adjustments, and rarely does he get out schemed.
Wow.
It's pretty remarkable, and that was all foreign to him coming into the league.
Yep.
And I think having the opportunity to sit back and learn from Aaron and watch him do it at the level he did it, I think was invaluable for him.
Best you've been around, because Aaron Rodgers played MVP.
And Aaron's going to get mad about this, but no, it's uncanny what he can do at the line of scrimmage with our protection adjustments.
So it's specifically with adjusting the protection, getting guys lined up, knowing where blitzers or where potential issues are coming from and making sure your offensive line is situated. Matt LaFleur saying he might be the best ever that I've been around, maybe even more so than Aaron Rodgers. And I don't know. I don't know enough football, and I don't coach, and I'm not there. So I don't know whether he's right or not. I'm not going to try to make the case that he is right. But one thing that I got thinking about today, and it continues off of our conversation about the Packers O-line last night and how there's a lot of question marks, and I don't know exactly how it's going to shake out going into this season. We know who's playing right tackle. That's Zach Tom. Jordan Morgan is going to play left tackle. Don't know if he's any good. I think Sean Ryan is going to be playing center. Don't know if he's any good. Aaron Banks, I don't think is any good, and he's not healthy. Like there's more flux. There's more flexibility right now. There's more uncertainty on that O-line than I would like. So we're comparing and we're thinking about Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love adjusting the O-line, mitigating pressure, getting his guys into the right spot to deal with a certain look, and Matt LaFleur saying that Jordan Love is the best that he's ever been around at that. Now, I couldn't tell you because, again, I'm not a coach and I'm not there. But something I got thinking about with the O-line, I don't know that Jordan Love has been blessed with these elite offensive lines the last couple of years. And Aaron Rodgers did not always have an amazing O-line. He played for so long. You're going to have some dud O-linemen. You're going to have a year where a bunch of guys got hurt. But I think on balance, Aaron Rodgers played behind some pretty high-level offensive lines. Like the best offensive lineman that Jordan Love has played behind is probably Zach Tom. And I think Zach Tom is a nice player. I think he's good. I think he's very good, pretty good. I don't think he's elite. And for whatever it's worth, the rest of the NFL seems to agree. He didn't get a single vote. He didn't get a single mention in Jeremy Fowler's, top 10 list position by position. Zach Tom didn't even get a vote. Didn't even get a sniff among the best tackles in football. He wasn't even mentioned, didn't even receive votes. He wasn't even at the bottom. One of the asterisks, like, hey, these guys came up a couple times. He wasn't even one of those guys. I think Zach Tom is a really good lineman. Think about the best offensive lineman that Aaron Rodgers had over his career. Early on, it was Clifton at left tackle. Now, the guy jumped off sides a lot of false starts, but elite, right? Brian Bulaga on the right side for a long time, elite. Then David Bakhtiari for a long time, like first team All-Pro, elite. I think Corey Linsley as a center for a long time was elite. Sitton at guard for a long time was elite. Lang at guard for a long time was elite. Then at the end of his career, towards the end of his time in Green Bay, Elton Jenkins at guard starting in 2019 throughout his couple of MVP seasons, elite. Like Aaron Rodgers played with some ballers on the O-line. And of course, there were years where, one of the spots was an issue or like Don Barclay was being the fireman because guys were hurt. Like, I'm not saying that Aaron Rodgers always had it easy and it was always made out. That's duh. But I think on balance, Aaron Rodgers played with some pretty high-level offensive linemen at pretty important positions too. Like, I think until they let Corey Linsley go, he basically always had a really good center. He mostly always had an elite left tackle. It was Clifton and then Bakhtiari, and that was kind of it, man. Like Sitton was a beast. Bulaga was a beast. Bulaga was a beast. He got hurt, and then he would come back from injury and beat. Like he never left. Stud. Lang was and all of those guys were wired. They weren't just talented. They were wired how I want my O-linemen to be wired. Like they were a little gritty and they would get in the mud and they would fight and they would push after a play if someone had a late hit. I think specifically, I don't remember if it was Bulaga or if it was Lang in that 2014 game against Dallas on the near side sideline when there was a scrum at the end of a long play when they're ripping at the running back or the wide receiver, whoever it was. And I think it was Lang came in. It just cleared him out. It's like, well, if the whistles aren't blowing and we're still going, then I'm going to come in and pop you. Like there was those guys were enforcers. I don't know that Jordan Love has really ever been done a huge service with the O-line that he's played behind. Like Josh Myers was his center until last year when they had no center. And Rasheed Walker has been his left tackle. He's good. He's pretty good until, the big games when it mattered. He's fine. He was no Clifton. He certainly was no Bakhtiari. Zach Tom is good. He's fine. He's no Brian Bulaga. I don't think Aaron Banks is exactly Josh Sitton. or, TJ Lang. So when Matt LaFleur talks about Jordan Love doing a really good job checking at the O-line and aligning his protections to not get beat by the defense, I think part of that is out of necessity because I don't know that the Packers O-line in Jordan Love's 3 years as a starter has been anything special. I don't think they've been miserable. I don't think they've been bad, but I also think part of that is because Jordan Love's really good at navigating it. And I also think Matt LaFleur coaches in such a way where he just kind of refuses to let his O-line get beat. I swore today, I swore I talked about this with Mike Renner in the last year. I think this was last November when I asked Mike Renner about one of the best things. What comes to mind, one of the best traits or one of your favorite things about Matt LaFleur? And he talks about, again, how he manages the O-line.
The thing that I love about Matt LaFleur is that he has a downfield passing offense that's going to give his quarterback time.
Okay.
You are going to watch a team that, even when they have backup tackles, they protect their offensive line. I think that's the biggest thing with LaFleur that makes him unique as opposed to the rest of the NFL. And so that comes at a cost, right? Usually when you have, when they had some backup offensive tackles in there, you're having to keep your tight ends and running backs in protection. You're only getting 3 guys out in a route. That makes it difficult to look consistent in the passing game because with 3 guys out in a route, it has to be a deeper downfield, longer developing route. And those are a little more boom bust. So that's what I love about him is that you're never going to have a game where your quarterback gets sacked 8 times. That just doesn't exist in the LaFleur offense. That's not how they want to operate. So he's always going to keep you in games because of that. And that's why, when he has backups in, like Malik Willis last year, they have time and seemingly they play well because he's not asking them to operate a quick timing passing offense and protect an offensive line in front of them. So that's probably the biggest thing unique to LaFleur, I'd say.
I don't know that they've had elite O-lines under Jordan Love or in front of Jordan Love. I think they've had fine. I think Jordan Love is really good at managing it. And I think Matt LaFleur coaches in such a way that protects the O-line. So when Matt LaFleur is talking with Stacey Dales and he's comparing, the job that Jordan Love does as the line of scrimmage compared to Aaron Rodgers, I don't doubt that Aaron Rodgers was very good at the line of scrimmage, diagnosing and calling things out. I think he probably had to do it less. On balance, again, I'm sure because Aaron Rodgers hardos, the people who you're just blindly supportive of Aaron Rodgers to tell you, well, the one year everyone got hurt. Yeah, I know it wasn't every year. On balance, I think Aaron Rodgers played behind some pretty great O-lines. And I don't know that that's been the case with Jordan Love the last couple of years. In fact, it's not really. I'm pretty sure. I'm quite sure actually. The best O-lineman that Jordan Love has played behind is Zach Tom, who might be the 3rd best right tackle Aaron Rodgers would have played behind on his many iterations of an O-line in his time in Green Bay. I just think Jordan Love's probably had to do a little bit more, and Matt LaFleur coaches in a way that protects the O-line a little bit more. Whereas I think in 2014, when the O-line was Bakhtiari, Lang, Lindsley, Sitton, Bulaga. Yeah, okay. And then Lane Taylor and J.C. Treader are backups. Sure, yeah, sure. Okay. Any of those guys could start and be studs compared to who the guys the Packers are running out there right now. Okay, went a little long. Some news out of Vikings camp today. Kyler Murray has been named the starter. We will react next. And Mike Clemens, by the way, coming up at 5:30. So a lot more to come on the other side. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
All right, welcome back to the Wisco Sports Show. Mike Clemens be here in about 10 minutes. Show presented tonight by Inn on the River in beautiful Trempealeau. I was just downstream of Trempealeau on French Island, wedding last weekend. A Tuesday musing, very briefly. I know we didn't do a full segment on this, but I can give you a musing. G-Dub earlier asked on the live stream, says, Grant, with all your wedding experience, do you find the lower budget weddings are much more entertaining than the $25,000 barn venue weddings? Look. It's not about the venue, G-Dub, but it's about two souls, coming together and exchanging vows with us as witnesses and supporters. But I will say, I think I like the wedding. I think I like the buffet food better than the delivered plate. I think it just makes more sense. If I'm really hungry, and sometimes I am, I can get more. If I'm not as hungry, I can take less. You can go get seconds. It's cheaper for the couple. The buffet makes so much more sense to me. It's often warmer. You bring it out on the plate, it can get cold. I unless you are English royalty, I just think we should accept the buffet at the wedding more than. I just feel like we treat it's like, well, if you don't bring out the plate at entree, the wedding is not. I just normalize the buffet. It's cheaper, and I think it's better. In a lot of ways. So I can't speak to the venue, G-Dub, but there's one Tuesday musing for you. I prefer the buffet, even though I think by many it's considered to be lower class. Breaking news in the NFC North today. Here is 2 minutes of word salad from Kevin O'Connell announcing that Kyler Murray will be the starter and not J.J. McCarthy. Listen to this.
A lot of, I know there's a lot of kind of reports and things out there regarding our quarterback situation and just wanted to start out and say, we did, after some dialogue in-house and just kind of daily, analyzing the overall of where we're at right now, we did name.
By the way, that was 21 seconds in that he finally got to it. 21 seconds of rambling before he just said it.
Kyler Murray, our starting quarterback, from the outset of the offseason, I think we've been really intentional, open, about kind of the goal of creating just a competitive environment filled with wildly capable players that could then obviously elevate our quarterback room through that process, and in doing so, elevate our team. We wanted a group of guys that would challenge each other every day, regardless of what point they're at in their own personal quarterback journeys. And we've got 4 guys in 4 different places in time in their journeys, knowing that the competition and really
I can't I'm just bored. I was going to play the whole thing, but at the end, I cut this off the Vikings Twitter account. Let me play the last 5 seconds of this. I think the admin just said, well, we got to cut this somewhere. I'll just randomly listen to where this cuts
really,
off.
With positive feelings towards their own individual outlook on things, as well as, our team's confidence in the position.
That's where the video cut off on Twitter. They said, F it. This is good a spot as any. Judd Zulgad writing about this. I love Judd. I watched Matt Coller's podcast today earlier. 10 practices and nearly 2 weeks into a quarterback competition that most consider to be more show than substance. Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell finally announced the decision we were all expecting. Kyler Murray had won the team's quarterback competition against J.J. McCarthy. Tuesday's news came 2 days after a practice in which Murray was mostly awful and McCarthy started strong but finished feeble. If there hadn't been concern inside TCO Performance Center about the quarterback play before that practice, Monday should have had the offensive staff in a panic. The guess here is that when Kevin O'Connell decided to announce that Murray would compete with McCarthy, his goal was to have Murray stack enough strong practices that everyone could see who should win the job. That never happened. Not exactly rave reviews coming in on Kyler Murray. I don't think J.J. McCarthy's any good. I think I'm kind of a Kyler Murray guy. I wouldn't want him on my team, but I think he's fun to watch and better than most would say. I wonder what happens with McCarthy now, because in modern sports, this isn't just baseball or basketball or football. This is just kind of a modern American sports thing. In situations like this, it's not uncommon for the player and the agent to, request out. We want to go somewhere where there's an opportunity. We want to go we would like to move on. And you could say, well, what has J.J. McCarthy earned? Fair. And I found it interesting that Adam Schefter today in his tweet said J.J. McCarthy missed his entire rookie season due to injury and started just 10 games last year, with Minnesota winning 6 of them. Now the still only 23-year-old will be forced to be a backup. It's like, well, forced is, he didn't win the job, even if no one really thought that quarterback competition was real. And a lot of Vikings people seem to think it's not. Yeah, who's J.J. McCarthy? Why can he request a trade? Remember who requested a trade last year? Aaron Savali. Because he didn't have a starting job. Like Aaron Savali. So I'm wondering if J.J. McCarthy's even on the roster for the Vikings this year. I'm wondering if the Vikings want him around. I'm wondering if J.J. McCarthy wants to be around. You say, well, Grant, who's going to want him? Or where's he going to go start? Maybe nowhere, but sometimes in sports situations like this, the earth is just kind of scorched, and the player doesn't want to hang around, and the team kind of doesn't want him around. So fresh start for you somewhere. We'll take a late round draft pick or something from the Steelers, and maybe you can learn behind Rodgers for a year, or play if he gets injured or something like that. But I know they have Drew Aller and, Will Howard. He's there. The Packers have Kyle McCord, right? I think all these Ohio State quarterbacks. Somebody get these Buckeyes out of here. An interesting situation in Minnesota, to say the least. Todd and Holman with a Brewers text before we take our break to get to Clemens. Hey, Grant, just want to get my prediction on the Brewers' regular season win-loss record. 105 wins is what I see them getting. Oh. Just that's even possible is so amazing. I've heard so many early season predictions were 85 to 90 wins. And by the way, I believe this is our year. I'm wondering what your prediction is. This would be a good poll to do this time of the season. 90, probably. 90. I don't feel great about them winning the division at this moment in time. I'm not trying to be negative. You hear my tone? My tone is not bitchy. It's not negative. I don't think they're trending the right way. And I think the Cubs are. And I don't think their bullpen is stacked full of elite arms. And this offense has been dead since the middle of June. But they've scored as many runs as anyone in baseball. Yeah, I know. But do you guys watch the games every night, though? Like, I'm not trying to be like, watch the games every second or you're not smart enough to talk to me. That's not it. Like, don't just tell me how many runs they've scored. Don't just tell me where they rank. Like, do you watch the team? Do you use your eyes and watch the game and the team every night? Like, there's more to the story there. 90, which should be a tremendous season. But I don't know if it's good enough to win the Central. It wasn't for the Cubs last year, who I think won 92, right? Mike Clemens set to join us next. The latest from Green Bay. Maybe we'll throw a Brewers question at him as well before our conversation is done. He'll join us next. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Shopping for new windows shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Wisconsin doesn't believe in games. They never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Just premium windows and doors built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella-certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 5 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 4 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
All right, welcome back to the Wisco Sports Show. I'm in for Bill tomorrow, by the way. So if you want more of this, you have an opportunity the next couple of days. 10 to 2 tomorrow, Thursday and Friday. Bukowski and Mike Renner both tomorrow. Good Packers discussion and some NFL headlines, too, a little bit more every day. J.J. McCarthy is not going to be the starter in Minnesota this year. They announced it's Kyler Murray earlier today. So we'll discuss that more tomorrow and have a little fun with that. So I'll be back tomorrow. Right now, Mike Clemens set to join us. Thanks to the Bay Motel in Green Bay. Quiet, cozy, comfortable, and less than a mile from Lambeau Field. So it's perfect for the family. The Bay Motel family restaurant is right there as well. Mike, it seemed like some Packers, who had been dealing with little nicks, bumps, and bruises. Matthew Golden, Jaden Reed back at practice today. It seems like today was a positive step in the injury department, it seemed.
Yeah, and it wasn't apparent to me. Today is another opportunity. Now, yesterday was a full practice. There'd be a little more of a walkthrough. They were in shells, and they're working. It was like a Friday practice. They're working in speed. And, in between, like this new media office that we've got that the team set up for us, and there's a monitor, and McAfee is on, and he's on with his guys, and they're talking about, the Packers and, hey, A.J. Hawk, and wow, look at that, 57,000 people were at their family night. There's all this, I must be having a mood today.
Yeah.
But, as I've got the networks on in the background, by the way, a couple of my friends got cut in this NFL network, ESPN merger, like Pelissero and a couple of other people. And so as I'm trying to sort of monitor the product, there's all this hype that's going on about this team or that team. And everyone's going to the Super Bowl. And I know it's kind of that way every year, but it's overboard,
I think so.
Yeah. And they're just doing everything they can to get their, they've spent billions of dollars to get the rights to this stuff, and now they're trying to pump it back up as much as they can so they get, their money back. And it's like, what team are you talking about? This is a team that, gave up 23 points in the fourth quarter to Caleb Williams. I mean, they've got a lot to work on.
It's not how people feel locally, at least. Certainly not on Bill's show. I think there's excitement when every season starts because you want to know what the team's going to look like. And obviously the dream is the Super Bowl every year. But I think compared to the last couple of seasons, folks are a little bit more guarded, a little bit more jaded for sure. And then we'll get to week one and people are going to be, that's how we work as sports fans. Can I ask you, I know we're going to hear from a couple players. How is it that all of a sudden Jacob Monk went from being non-existent to a player that's really jumping out in camp? I'd kind of left him for dead, Mike. And I feel like in your reports and in reports from Packers reporters I'm seeing over last week, he's like one of the standouts right now.
And you're absolutely right, because there was a couple of years there where it's like, God forbid that he get in there. He did not have many opportunities to fill in at center with the guys that they had in there between Elton Jenkins and then later Sean Ryan taking over the ball. But it's the difference was when they went to that meaningless Week 18 game in Minnesota against the Vikings, he got to start at center, and he had a really good game. I mean, and the Vikings, they came to play for pride, and they were impressed by that. Then he goes and has a torn bicep in the Bears game, and has to go have surgery, and so he misses much of the off season. But it took him a couple of years, but they think he's now a legit contender, at least a sixth man that could be on the offensive line. So there's that kind of, and so there's a lot of those kinds of stories going on now, where it's like, hey, I mean, we are in training camp, and the season starts, and you want to start with a win against that division opponent on the road in Minnesota against the Vikings. On the other hand, you got 3 preseason games to do that serious evaluation and 1 joint practice.
Yeah.
So the other thing that happens at this time of year is everyone gets in, well, are you going to play your starters or not? And I get so tired of that hype. And then this morning LaFleur says, yeah, Love might be out there. And again, it's like Lucy grabbing the ball from Charlie Brown every year at Halloween.
Yeah.
Holding up the football. But apparently it seems kind of serious. Now, here's the weird thing about that. Then you hit your forehead. You go, wait a minute. And we've been in this movie before, because it was a year ago that for whatever reason they felt that they were behind schedule and working out some bugs on the offense and bringing in Aaron Banks or whatever. So they put Jordan Love under center against the Jets. In one of his last plays, he whacks his hand on the top of a New York Jets helmet, and he ends up, tearing a tendon in his hand that he had to have surgery on. We took him out for the rest of camp. We were down there at the Colts joint practice, and he's sitting there watching. So that was useless. And good news from Malik Willis and all those snaps. So today, Jordan Love was asked about that thumb injury you had against the Jets almost a year ago to the date. And is that in your mind, as it looks like you might get some snaps Thursday night in Pittsburgh against the Steelers?
Obviously, what happened last year sucked. It was very tough. I'm glad the timeline was what it was, and I was able to be good for week one. But yeah, it's definitely one of those things you got to take into consideration going into preseason, Eric. So I know me and Matt have talked, and I think the plan is to play some limited role this week and see how it goes going forward. But that's always, something that you just got to be smart when you're out there, trying to avoid taking hits, things like that. But it is football.
So it's safe to say you play a little differently than you would in the regular season?
Yeah, I think the main thing is to, stay healthy, obviously. Avoid taking hits. If you get into a scramble situation, definitely not taking any hits outside the pocket, anything like that. But really, it's just about being smart, trying to get the ball out of your hands, find those completions, put together a good drive.
Can you undo some of your footwork work that you've done this year and go back to the fall-away jumper if necessary?
Oh, you might have to. You hope you're not getting any pressure like that. But like I said, if you're trying to avoid a hit, whatever it takes to get the ball out, throw it away, so you might see it. We'll see.
In your mind, Mike, especially what happened last year with Jordan Love banging up his hand, why do you think Matt LaFleur wants his quarterback in a game?
Because he doesn't like what he sees in practice.
Okay. All right. That makes sense to me. All right.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be any more complicated than that. Okay, that's a good answer.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you start seeing guys getting on the field that are going to be your starters week one, like the right tackle, Zach Tom, now Bako Biwale. He's, coming off of the pectoral tendon knee surgery, and, they've been careful with him, but all of a sudden he's on the field for the next couple of days because you're not putting Jordan Love in with backups, right? I mean, that's the philosophy. Same thing that they did, whenever they did this with Aaron Rodgers. Oh, well, if QB1's going to play, then it's going to be the first team offensive line that's going to be out there. I don't know if Josh Jacobs is going to be able to play, but they're certainly going to give Marshawn Lloyd a lot of looks to get him ready after 2 years of rust of football, and he's been looking great. I mean, absolutely great in the backfield. That tight end thing I've been talking about since last week, Friday, is a real deal. Now, Josh Wiley, who I don't know if he got concussed on Friday night, but he was on the bench and being looked at his neck, and he was back out there today. So they're trying to get those. That tight end job is wide open. By the way, that Biber kid from Cedarburg, Wisconsin, he got cut.
Back to Cedarburg, yeah.
Yeah, he's driving back to Cedarburg.
Head
It's tough.
south.
The tight end job, I'll tell you what. Think of Ben Sims. Think of John Fitzpatrick, who tore his tendon. They're going to pick up a tight end after Labor Day. They'll pick up another tight.
Yeah.
They'll get one that's free. So you start seeing these now. Jagger Burton, the draft pick out of Kentucky. This is a sharp kid, and he's been looking pretty good at guard too, because Aaron Banks is still walking around with a sore knee. Your big time free agent. So I had a long conversation with him today. I said, okay, so Thursday night, it's your first NFL preseason game, and you got no game plan. How does that make you feel going up against probably a first-team defensive lineman from the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I think here, Coach Buck always preaches at the end of the day, if you do our technique, whatever whoever's in, you'll be fine. So I think for me, it's just, understanding my targets on certain plays, understanding who we're working to, and trusting what our coaches teach us. I think that kind of that makes me at ease, just knowing that I'm going to be in the best situation to win the rep off of what the coaches are telling me to do. So if I can execute their coaching points, then I know I have a better chance of winning the rep, especially going into it kind of blind in a way of not having a game plan and stuff like that. So I don't know, in a way it is kind of exciting just to be able to go out there and not have to think and kind of just cut it loose and play. Kind of feels like a high school type of mindset in that way of the no game plan stuff. So I'm excited.
It would be my guess, Mike, that they would love for Jagger Burton to earn some playing time at right guard. Just based on what I've read, it's not like Belton's grabbed that job by the horns. And Banks, at left guard, even if he's playing, I don't know that he's that elite and you can't trust him to be healthy. I think the Packers would love for Burton to grab some playing time. And if not a starter, do you think they'd maybe rotate him? That's something that they've been willing to do in the past with a young player they really like.
Right. They were doing that to Sean Ryan last year, right? Mm-hmm. By the way, Sean Ryan has really stepped it up in terms of the leadership. He's doing a really nice job.
Checking all the boxes at center.
Oh, yeah. I'm so proud of that guy. Here's a guy who got suspended for doing dumb stuff, in his rookie season. And now he's a paid guy, and he's recognizing things, and he's getting after dudes. So proud of that guy. Now, so that means like you said too. Now Love and Reed, Golden and Reed, they're on the sidelines. They're back out there today. So then you go to Christian Watson and say, hey, it sounds like first team is going to play a little bit, a couple of series on Thursday night in Pittsburgh. What do you think about that? If Jordan Love's playing, how do you feel about getting a few series in on Thursday night?
I mean, however much they ask of us, honestly, if you ask me personally, if I think that we need to go out there and play in all three preseason games, I'd probably say I don't think so. But I mean, we also have a lot of growth to do as an offense, and obviously the coaches want to see some different things out of us. So just however much they ask of us is, we'll be ready for however much that is.
That sounds to me like, oh, I don't really know if we need it. Mike, one of the things that I've heard one of the most positive things I've heard coming out of camp is the way that Reed, Watson, and Golden have come along and how they've worked with Jordan Love. I don't know that that's sounded to me at a distance, at least, like a group that needs to work out a ton of kinks.
Right. And there's all kinds of candidates too that might break through there and be the fifth or sixth wide receiver. And maybe we talk about that. I'll tell you, here's the main thing that I want listeners to think about is that, if Jordan Love, in fact, does get a couple of snaps in there, and then you've got Tyrod Taylor, your veteran in there to run the offense and to get his rhythm down a little bit, then you're going to see a lot of either number 13, Kyron Drones out of Virginia Tech, who I think they came in thinking he could be the third quarterback, maybe the practice squad quarterback this year. But I'm telling you, Kyle McCord out of Syracuse, big kid, 6'3", 218. He's got an arm. He's got an arm. So it'll be interesting to just keep in mind that the battle between number 13 and number 18 at quarterback in the later quarters of Thursday night's game. Now, I was talking to a reporter that I've been in contact with the Steelers, and we have a chance to talk to Aaron Rodgers tomorrow on a Zoom call. I think that's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome.
I said to LaFleur, I said, Aaron is still talking about, oh boy, it's great to be in the St. Vincent College campus and here in Latrobe, an hour away from Pittsburgh and the regular facility and rooming at night with DK Metcalf and getting to know the guy. Because all the coaches and players are in a college dorm. Green Bay hasn't done that since the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Jordan Love is going home to his baby tonight, his newborn baby. And you wonder, there's a big storyline that's missed, a long tradition, but, things have changed so much in just the last 10 years with the way these athletes are in shape year round. Drew Rosenhaus there, by the way, today, talking to 4 or 5 of his clients. And so I asked LaFleur this morning, would you ever want to go back to a dorm like St. Norbert? And how do you recreate, being, coaches and players in a dorm setting, 24 hours a day?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why you're always trying to create ways. I do think it's a little bit different now. If we were to go off site, then I think you get a ton of benefit from that. But being that we are here, those guys have no choice but to go back to the dorms. Like I was in LA, we did the same thing. We went down to Orange County, and there's no, you go back to the room, you hang out with the guys. And I think it could be a little bit different here in regards to some of these guys, especially with, I don't know if you've seen the number of guys that are fathers now, but there's a lot of babies around practice. And I think a lot of these guys, based on the time limits or whatever, the camp's not like what it used to be when you were here at, 7 a.m. until after 9 o'clock at night, where they would just go back and go to bed. I think we get out a lot of times 6:30, and these guys would go home and then just go back to go to sleep.
So now staying at the dorms would feel a little bit like maybe just staying in a hotel room. And for what? Because their houses or their apartments or whatever are right around the corner, Mike, which is something that Rodgers has complained about in the past or brought up in the past too.
Yeah. Rodgers is telling everybody in Pittsburgh, oh, no, I love St. Vincent. And, I remember him talking about how bad the beds were, that he had a bad back. That's why he couldn't participate in the preseason game, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Lastly is this. Every year I notice that Brian Gutekunst, he tends to, they go up against a team and a particular player, and they make a note of it. It's like, man, that guy was a problem. And the next thing you know, the following spring free agency, he's now a Green Bay Packer. Like Xavier McKinney, who, knocked down a ball that was a key pass from Aaron Rodgers to Alan Lazard in the loss to the Giants in London, in that game in London. Or Josh Jacobs and how hard he ran when they were playing the Raiders. And now these guys are Packers. Or even Aaron Banks, at left guard with the 49ers. Zaire Franklin is that guy.
Yeah.
And, the Colts haven't been a good team since Andrew Luck and a little bit of Phil Rivers, but they've always had good defenses, even when Gannon was down there. So I went to Zaire today, and I said, do you know about it? I said, how many times did you play the Packers while you were with Indianapolis?
Twice, once in 2020 versus Aaron, and 2 years ago when LaFleur ran us out the building.
So I think we talked about this, but I distinctly remember when we talked to the coaches in prepping, and they said Zaire is going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen that over and over again. There's guys that these guys have faced, and then suddenly you find them in Green Bay.
No, for sure. Well, I think that's always the cool part about the NFL. Every day is our interview. Every time you play somebody, they don't forget. Those coordinators don't forget. Those coaches don't forget. Those front offices don't forget. So every time you have a great game versus somebody, it's in the back of somebody's mind after it's done. So I guess that's the cool thing about the NFL.
We can go around the locker room. Zaire, Josh,
Yeah, for sure.
Now they're here.
No, 100%. Listen, what they say, you can't stop them, join them. That's what they say. So.
And Mike, got to be quick here to wrap up, but I mentioned this last night. I think a big area of improvement, maybe from last year to this year, that not a lot of fans were thinking about, and maybe I haven't started to think about until now, is from Quay Walker to Zaire Franklin. I know Quay Walker was a fine player. I feel like there could be some improvement there on a level that maybe we're underrating right now.
It's like having another Xavier McKinney in the locker room.
Yeah.
And guess who they have following Zaire Franklin around everywhere he goes?
Edge Cooper?
Yes.
Good. And I don't think Quay Walker was a bad player. I don't know if he was a big plus. You know what I mean? I don't know if he was a force multiplier, a vocal leader. I just think he was.
But you got a green dot on that dude right now.
Yeah.
And you've got Edgerrin Cooper to intern with him for another year or two that's left in his career. I think it's a brilliant move.
And I think it's gone under the radar a little bit, just a little bit. And maybe that's my fault. Maybe I need to talk about it more, but it seems that the Packers are really high on that guy, and I guess with some good reason. Mike, appreciate it. I will be in for Bill the next couple of days. Anytime you want to drop in and talk Packers the rest of the week, I would love to have you. Thank you for the time.
Talk to you from Pittsburgh, buddy.
Safe travels, Mike, over to Pittsburgh. I think he's driving, which actually sounds kind of fun. I like a good road trip. We'll take a break here. We'll come back and wrap up final segment of the Wisco Sports Show coming up next. Don't go anywhere.
This is the Wisco Sports Show with Grant Bills on the Wisconsin Sports.
The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 3 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 2 minutes. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 1 minute. The Wisco Sports Show will resume in 30 seconds.
Final segment here, the Wisco Sports Show. Appreciate Kate Fox and Mike Clemens. If you missed either of their appearances, you can find it in the podcast. It'll go up here in just a couple of minutes. I think maybe we've under-discussed or underrated the possible improvement the Packers could make on defense, going from Quay Walker to Zaire Franklin. And I don't think Quay Walker was bad. I think he was fine. And a fine player with great leadership skills or great diagnosing skills. Okay, but I don't know if he was that either. I think he was just fine across the board. And I think Zaire Franklin can offer a little bit more leadership, voice. I mean, you just heard Mike talk about how vocal he is and what a big part of things that he is. I think it's probably good for Edgerrin Cooper, too. So we'll pick up this discussion tomorrow. I'll be in starting at 10 for Bill. Bill's out the rest of the week, so if you want more of this, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, those are your days. Peter Bukowski, Mike Renner set to join me tomorrow on the 10 to 2 show as well. Have a great night. I'd recommend going to bed before the end of the Brewer game, but you do you. It's your life. Thank you for